Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Um, so this is a video basically. This is probably gonna be a two-part, maybe a three-part series. Uh, I'm basically gonna be going over a collection that I recently picked up from a friend of mine. He basically gave it to me. It's kind of like one of those things where eventually I will give him something of mine or whatever. We're such cool friends. We always do trades and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, he had like some comics that he's picked up over the last few years. Not very many because he's not really into the hobby that much. He's mostly just doing it kind of just because he knew he knew I would do it. So sometimes we would go to the comic book shop and he would pick up a few books and all that. And so yeah, it's like he had maybe 30, 40 books. So I just went ahead and he was tired of having them, so I went ahead and picked them up off of them, and just gonna go over them. It's nothing like there's a couple cool little gems in here, but nothing too special. And a lot of them are not in the best condition. Like he kept them in room temperature. I mean, like controlled environment and stuff. But he had them in this big bulky binder, and so like a lot of them have like spine roll pretty bad because they were like where they were sitting in the binder rings, they were kind of bent a little bit. So yeah, there is some damage on a lot of these books, but they're still perfectly fine reader copies and stuff. Um, his first one's Airboy number 47, and his collection is kind of like what my collection ends up being, where it's a lot of just random books. He would just pick up random things that he thought were cool or collectible. Like, he was more about actually collecting, so he would just pick up things that he thought he could flip at a later point or had value or whatever. Airboy is pretty. This is just an old school Airboy issue from it's like maybe the 70s or something. Yeah. Airboy always has those cool covers. I mean, you can't. I mean, look how awesome it is. Freaking German skeleton guy. Next up we have a Who's Who. I love these Who's Who books. They're awesome. They're just great little old school way to learn about characters before Google and all that. You learn about random characters like Toyman and Archer Boy and Typhoon. I'm just reading names off this particular issue. Um, then we have this pretty old but also beat up Hawk issue. You can see there's a bunch of paint or whatever tore off the cover. Um, but yeah, it's Hawk number 137. That's pretty cool. He's fighting the Abomination like he pretty much always did. Yeah, Abomination was like his biggest villain for years. Then we have another old school Hawk issue, number 124. This one's in a bit better condition. It's still really beat up on the sides. You can see like a lot of the side cover or whatever has been kind of eaten up. But it's a pretty cool cover featuring the Rhino. Let's see. Then we have this Avengers issue from I guess looks like the 80s maybe. Yeah, just Avengers being fighting some. I forget what the name of this character is, but yeah. Anyway, then we have another really beat up book, but this is a really kind of old school Spider-Man book, number 196. Pretty cool cover. It just looks like this is. I don't know if this is like an official death of May Parker, but it is an issue that features a death. I mean, it might just be like a dream or something. I don't know. But then we have this. Yeah, then we have this old kind of Superman issue, just kind of a Superman fighting Superman book. Looks kind of old, probably from maybe the 70s, 80s. I'm not sure exactly. It's Superman Comics number 242, if that helps anybody. And we have this Ghostly Tales, another really beat up book. It's really bent real bad. Like it's got this really bad I don't know, crease in there or whatever. I mean, maybe you could press this or whatever, but book's probably not even worth a press anyway. It's number 138, Ghostly Tales from Charlton Comics, kind of a old school company, doesn't exist anymore. Um, then we have probably the coolest book in the collection. Probably like the holy grail of the collection. Not really. I mean, it's a big book, but in the condition this book's in, it's probably not gonna fetch that much. But it's still a really cool book. It's still a pretty awesome little key. We have the first issue of Ghost Rider Pretty cool. Don't let that sticker fool you. He did not pay $1.50 for this. Yeah, pretty cool. I mean, you can see that it does have some chipping away at the sides. Uh, there's some damage. There's some damage where the staples are. I don't really know what this book is actually be graded at. If I had to kind of guess at grading, and I'm not really the best at grading, so don't think that I am. But if I had to take a guess at grading, I would say this is probably about a um, I'd say it's probably around a 4, maybe maybe a low 5 or something. I would say it's kind of like a little bit below average on the grading scale, um, but not much higher than that. And it's probably low. It might be lower than a 4. I don't really know. I kind of feel like a high 4 is giving it some credit. I don't know. But yeah. So it was cool. It's just cool to have that. I mean, it's cool to have those first appearances and stuff of classic characters. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't think this is actually his first appearance, but it's his first. It's the first issue of his solo comic, at least. Um, then we have some Magic the Gathering comics here. This is Magic the Gathering, the Shadow Mage. We are both big Magic the Gathering players, so of course he picked up some Magic the Gathering books that he found one day. Because we have a long history of playing Magic the Gathering with each other. We used to share cards, or well technically we do share cards. We just don't play anymore. Um, we used to go to tournaments all the time. Grand Prix. We were pretty competitive in our area. We always go to the big tournaments and stuff. Play tests. We get really into it. Mostly modern. If anybody even knows what I'm talking about anymore in this video, we mostly play the modern format. Then we have Magic the Gathering, the Shadow Mage again, another issue of that. Pretty cool cover featuring one of those old school Minotaur card art. I forget which one it is, but it's one of the old school. It's one of those old school vanilla creatures that really doesn't do anything cool in the game, but it's an iconic character in the lore. Then we have another Magic the Gathering Shadow Mage issue. Is this the whole series? I think it is. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. Then we have another copy of number 1. And these Magic the Gathering books are pretty cool because a lot of times they have like cool little inserts in the back or whatever, or inside the book that have something to do with the actual card game. Like sometimes they would give you they'd give you like one promotional card inside the book. But like for example, this one gives you a bunch of tokens and counters, which are just cool little kind of outside accessories that you could use during the game to kind of help you keep track of like life points and stuff. You don't really need these things, but they are cool to have, and it was pretty cool that they would include them in these comic books. So that's pretty cool. Then we have this issue, The Avengers of the Fangs, number 3 in a 4-issue miniseries, featuring the Avengers. Then we have this Fantastic Four book, kind of like looks like from the late 80s, 90s. This is kind of like that. I remember this era. This is the era when the Fantastic Four was always having other characters featured. Like I think, She-Hulk was a member for a while during that time period. I think if I remember right, that's kind of when the Fantastic Four was kind of fading out of the popularity of the general audience of comic books, and they were trying to do things to make them popular. Like they were to keep sales going. Like they were always having big guest stars that didn't really fit in the stories. Like for some reason, Ford and Iron Man are in that issue just to promote sales. But yeah, and they gave him weird costume changes and stuff. Then we have Alpha Flight Betrayal. This is number 8 of Alpha Flight. Alpha Flight's a pretty cool little series. I love the original run of Alpha Flight. It's kind of got that kind of has like that mid-80s X-Men vibe. That's that same kind of feel and scope to it. Actually, I think it might have been done by some of the same creative team because it feels like it's the same thing. Then we have Fantastic Four. This is number 60. Pretty newer book, I think. Not sure exactly how old this is. Probably like early 2000s. It's only 9 cents apparently when it was published. I guess it's kind of like a promotional thing. Then we have another Who's Who book. Like I said, pretty cool. Nice little informational thing. Then we have this pretty cool little. I really need to change this bag and board. It's just pretty nasty. Then we have the final issue of Justice Society of America. This is number 8. This is the final issue of an 8-issue miniseries. This is kind of like during the I want to say 1991. So this is like a few years after a crisis. Basically, after Crisis on Infinite Earths, the Justice Society was kind of. I mean, they were never like super popular, except for like in the 40s, but they were still around a lot. But then after Crisis on Infinite Earths, they were kind of fading out more and more. And they would, every once in a while, DC would do something with the characters, like they would have a miniseries or some kind of storyline in somebody else's comic. They'd kind of try to bring them back. And this is one of those attempts. It was like pretty. I actually like the story. It's a pretty cool little series. But this was basically one of the attempts to kind of revitalize the characters. It wasn't really until like the kind of early or mid 2000s when they got that really good long running series that really brought them back into the highlight. Then we have this Phantom Stranger. This is number 2 of a 4-issue miniseries of the Phantom Stranger. Phantom Strangers, I don't really know much about him. My brother knows way more. My brother is a really big fan of the Phantom Stranger, and he always tells me that's one of the things that's cool about the Phantom Stranger is that you don't actually know much about him. Apparently they never really, or maybe now they have, but apparently for the longest time they never really went into his origins or his background. He was just a mysterious guy who just was like a protector of magic arts and a kind of a defender of the world, of the universe or whatever. But you never really knew exactly what the limits of his powers were. He's just very shrouded in mystery, and that was kind of his appeal. Then the final book we have is another one of these Magic the Gathering books, part of the Shadow Mage. This is the last issue in that little series, I believe. So yeah, pretty cool. And this is only about half of the collection. I'll do the other half in another upcoming video. But yeah, yeah, it's a pretty cool little collection. I didn't really pay anything for it. Basically, it was given to me, so why not? Some of the books are in back edition. Most of them are in decent condition. And there's some interesting stuff in here. So yeah, I wanted to share with you guys. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and be awesome.